Welcome to the deserts of Bahrain, where the Formula One circus has rolled into town. We're expecting the cars to appear out on track shortly to start today's practice session.
Welcome back to the F1 2018 career mode. This is part 2, the Bahrain Grand Prix, and we are going to try and continue that wonderful momentum with that unexpected result of 10th place in Australia and points on our Formula 1 debut, which I was, as I said, definitely not expecting. You would expect Bahrain to maybe suit the car a little bit better, as it is more power-based, and you know, we have the Mercedes engine in the back, the most powerful engine. But of course the Williams is second worst on aero and worst on chassis, and this car is not going to fare well in the high-speed corners. So got a lot of preparation. Of course, the only upgrade that came this weekend as well was our durability upgrade. So we're going to have to wait for China to get our 3 upgrades that we did put on the car. But practice went okay-ish. Some of the programs, like I always struggle around Bahrain, it's just a circuit I don't really like. Some of the programs didn't go too well. We didn't actually get the results on recording, unfortunately. So is what it is. But we're just taking a look at everything here in the back end, sort of in relation to the contract. That will come up fairly soon, I imagine. Had a look at a few different options I may have had available, such as like department efficiency, but I decided against it. Let's get into qualifying.
Cars are ready, the drivers are ready. We hope you're ready, as qualifying is about to begin here in Bahrain.
So here we go, Bahrain qualifying. Let's see how we can do. Max engine mixture, hot lap mode. This is going to be our fastest lap of the weekend. Well, not necessarily this one. This is my first attempt, but this is where you're going to do your fastest lap of the weekend in this session, hopefully. So here we go, charging up. Now, already through the first complex of corners there, up towards turn 4, braking just before the 100-metre board, try and swing it in for the apex, which I have completely missed because the front end on this Williams was not a joy to try and get into the corners. Nonetheless, we're already a second down on Hulkenberg through the first sector and riding the curbs, which are absolutely vicious on this year's game. What I was trying to do as well, I've noticed as I've played the game a little bit more, I was trying to play around with the ERS, you know, going to low to harvest it in some corners and going up to high for certain straights, because even though you've got that percentage of battery, you have a certain level of deployment per lap. And obviously I didn't want to be hitting that limit because of the straight lines here in Bahrain, so I was playing around with the ERS a little bit, especially through the middle sector, because that's the one that required the least amount of power, but then I stuck it in hot lap near the end here. And now we go through the long right handle, which is completely flat across the sector split. We're now only 8 tenths behind Hulkenberg, so we did do a better middle sector than the Renault driver. So interesting enough, the ERS definitely helped us out in that equation, but Hamilton now on pole, or provisional pole, with a 28.2. We now brake after the 100-metre board for the final call. We've clouted the curb, and that's hindered our acceleration somewhat as we now DRS open up towards the line, and it's a 30.7. We've cleared Van Dorn, but slower than Charles Leclerc. So not really the best lap. Not what I was looking for, let's say, out of qualifying. So here we're going out again. This is later into the session. We've dropped down to 17th place, and there's going to be no messing around with the ERS on this one. This is going to be a full hot lap mode, max engine mixture. Let's see what we can do into turn 1. Gone a little bit wider this time, but it does mean we get a better drive out of the corner. And now we're going to come up to near the first sector split. We've just been a lot more attacking with it, and we're nearly half a second up. We're still 1.1 seconds off provisional pole, but over half a second up. Take the left-right a lot better. And you can see through the middle sector again, just where I haven't been playing with the RS, just where I've been more attacking. We're 8.5 tenths up as we come through the right hand. I haven't kept it quite as tight as before. Run it out nice and wide though. We do miss the apex of the penultimate corner, but we came through the final corner. DRS open across the line, and it put us P11 with a 29.8. I was surprised to break the 130 barrier on that qualifying lap, but by the end of the session that did drop us down to 14th place, which I still think is pretty decent for the Williams, considering, you know, the team wants to be getting 19th. But Vettel on pole, Hamilton second, Raikkonen third, Bottas fourth, all the big boys there, and it was Magnussen best of the rest. And you can see there we're 14th, 2.1 off the pace, an entire second ahead of Stroll. Let's move on to the Bahrain Grand Prix.
There's something in the Bahrain air tonight, and I'm not just talking about the sand. Our brightest minds have thrust their brightest ideas into the spotlight of the Sakhir circuit this evening as we look ahead once more to a Grand Prix that has thrilled us so consistently in the past.
Apparently Crofty didn't want to say any more than that. But looking at the strategy for this one, they're saying it's a two-stop, super soft to soft to soft. I don't like that strategy, honestly. I tried playing around with it a little bit to see if there was a way of squeezing super softs in, but no. The only way I see myself moving forwards here, because like I say, Bahrain is a weak circuit for me, and it's not great for the car, especially in the middle sector. So the only way I see myself moving forwards is a one-stop. It's ambitious, because the tyres, looking at the graph there, they're going to wear out quite a bit. So I guess we'll need to see what happens in the Grand Prix. It's going to be all about managing the tyres, go heavy on the fuel, because we're going to need that rich mix to be competitive here in a straight line. But here we build with the lights. 5 are on for Bahrain. 5 red lights are out, and away we go. It's an awful getaway off the line on the soft compound tyre. Everyone else has shot forwards there. No one's been able to pass us from behind though. Tight apex for turn 1. We're going to take it cautious, but navigate to the inside as no one's gone across. We're going to get Ocon and Gasly into there. Nicely done. That's 2 positions already taken up. That's us up in the P12. A warning for a slight bit of bumping with Esteban Ocon there. And we're now rich and still hot lap now down to overtake there as we come up towards turn 4. Hulkenberg takes it quite calmly. He initially turned in. Clearly wasn't keeping an eye on his mirrors, because we were definitely on the right hand side. But a bit of wheel banging, a bit of a side pod collision there with the Renault. And that's us up into P11. Van Dorn's actually come through as well. So now we're on the back of Alonso, Sainz and Grosjean, all on super soft tyres, all battling over 8th, 9th and 10th. So this is the point here. I know obviously points were a surprise in round 1, but this is where we get to see, can we hang with these guys as we go through the long left-hander, the triple apex corner, which is an absolute nightmare. The hardest corner on the circuit and one of the hardest corners on the whole calendar itself. But we drop ERS down to medium because I want to save it a little bit. Alonso looking very slow here through the end of the sector, but by the end of lap 1, Grosjean's got 8 tenths on me. Van Dorn's going to be challenging me into turn 1, but I've got it into rich and overtake. And unfortunately, the Renault-powered McLaren is not able to do anything. He does try diving it down the inside, though. Very late move. Had to turn out of the corner there. So Van Dorn definitely not against proposing a challenge to me. And I mentioned that a lot in Australia, and we're going to see it over the whole season. The AI are not prepared to send one down the inside, even if it is late. As you can see him here again, trying it into turn 4 again. I've just had to turn out the corner. Managed to avoid contact, thankfully. Grosjean and Sainz battling side by side ahead. That's going to be costing those two some time. But I'm unfortunately trying to cover off Van Dorn here, so I can't try and capitalise on their battling. But because of course of the tyres they're starting on, they're definitely on a 2-stopper, where we of course are on a 1. I don't know if anyone else is going to be on a 1-stop strategy. It's going to be quite a bold decision there if they were, but Van Dorn's got a much better run off the final corner at end of lap 3, beginning of lap 4. I've kept it in standard and medium. We've done a personal best into the 34s, and Van Dorn, because of that Renault power unit, hasn't got that far ahead of us. So we're going to go into turn 1, run it out nice and wide, don't allow Van Dorn to cut back underneath us there, and we're going to continue battling for 11th place. But it has taught me that I should definitely be using the rich mix, and that's just going to enable me a bit more speed in the straight line. But Grosjean and Sainz haven't got too far away from me as we compromise our exit once again. Now we've got Esteban Ocon up behind us, so I'm going to have to bump it up with the RS, because that's a Mercedes-powered car, and that Mercedes-powered car is going to fly past us like an absolute bullet in a straight line. Ocon there. Does he come across? He does come across to take the racing line. He was very late about it, so we're down the inside, taking a big heap of curb there, and we've managed to get past the Force India driver, and retaining 11th place is important here, albeit it's not in the points. We're up to 10th because of pit stops now, but 11th is important because if any one of the big boys, anyone in front of you retires, you inherit a points-paying position, so we need to be concerned about that. We also need to be concerned about Ocon there as a late move, so maybe he wasn't running as quite a high battery, but he wasn't able to make a move again into turn 1. But we're up to 7th place now. Still got a good few laps left on this stint, but Ocon here could be, if he uses enough battery deployment, he could try and challenge us into turn 4, but he thinks against it. But I'm keeping an eye on him in the mirrors as I've gone wide, paying too much attention to our mirrors, and Ocon now goes side by side with us up to 5 and 6, and we sweep across the front of the Force India. Ocon there smart enough to realise he was not going to be making that move. This is the start of the next lap as Ocon pulls ahead of me, but we keep it round the outside. It is possible to keep the move around the outside here in Bahrain. The grip's pretty good out there, and it does switch to the inside for the next corner, which is exactly what we did on lap 8. Speaking of lap 8, we're moving on to lap 9. We're in standard fuel mix, down to medium, and Verstappen in the pits. We are going to take the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix in the Williams. Now, granted, It's on strategy. Of course, it's not actual on lap overtake or on merit overtake, and we're not going to be winning any Grand Prix anytime soon unless something crazy happens. But we're just sort of keeping the car, you know, keeping everything under control for now, running standard, low, just keeping everything, storing up that battery, because we're going to need it. I feel as if it's going to be more important in the later stages of the Grand Prix, you know, trying to catch people down or trying to, you know, if we do end up in a points position, you know, defending from that. So, start at lap 10. Ocon's coming at me again. He's got a beast of a run out the final corner, and Ocon has got massively ahead of us there. That's rich mix, DRS, overtake mode, you name it. Even closing up on the brakes into turn 1, we tap his rear with the front wing, but Ocon, no, has completely got ahead of us there. Stroll is in the pits for his first of, I would assume, 2 pit stops. But no, Ocon's got past us, and that now leaves the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton, net race leader. Lewis Hamilton will, of course, be there after the pit stop, so we don't really want to be holding him up too much, but at the same time, we don't want to roll over and die. So as it comes to the end of lap 10, Hamilton in the slipstream. We go standard, we go medium, not going to hamper him too much. He's on faster tyres at this point, faster strategy, and he gets the better run out of the corner. But I'm not just going to roll over, not going to let it die. Let's see how quick this Williams is in the straight line compared to the Mercedes. You'd expect it to be fairly even, so we've got everything flowing for us. Let's slingshot past him into turn 1, nice and late on the brakes just there. Don't obviously cause any unnecessary contact, which is completely avoidable. There we are, back past Hamilton, up into P2. Now, granted, that's going to cost him some time and probably not going to do me any favours against the Mercedes team, but I just wanted to see what it would be like to overtake one of the top guys. But you can see now we're struggling with front-end grip there through the left-hander, and that has actually put Hamilton into the clutches of both Ferrari cars. We've got a bit of a train building up behind us here. As you can see, our left-hand side tyres are up to 50% wear, so we're going to be coming in soon. Go wide, let Hamilton get through, and that actually allows Vettel to pounce on us there, but he hasn't quite got the exit that he wanted there, a little bit sideways on the inside of the circuit, and we're now having to lift through that right-hander, so a clear view. The grip has most definitely gone. We've only got a couple laps left before we're going to be coming in again here, so we've got the 2 Ferraris battling behind us. Let's try and hold them up and allow Hamilton to build a bit of a lead, you know, get in Mercedes good books. You never know what could happen later down the line, you know, reserve driver, know what I'm saying, hint hint, Toto, you know what I'm saying. We come out the final corner, both Ferraris are side by side, and we're going to feel like Riccardo Zonta with Schumacher and Hakkinen go either side of us. Just the speed of both Ferraris with DRS on the main straight. I was like, nope, nothing I can do about this here. I'm running my own race at this point now, but obviously Hamilton's no longer in the clutches that he was in, and Raikkonen's got past Vettel. Pierre Gasly is out the Grand Prix, so we're going to run rich and overtake. Vettel looks vulnerable here, so we're going to go down the inside of turn 4. He has just sort of turned in there, so had to collect the cogs. He turned in, had to take a bit of curb, and yeah, Vettel just turned in on me. So obviously it was side pod to side pod contact, or side to side of the car contact, and no, thankfully no front wing damage done, but yeah, the AI is not not opposed to just turning in on you. We saw that several times in Australia, and we're seeing it once again here in Bahrain, but Raikkonen now setting the pace once he's been released. He's in the 31s, I'm in the 35s, and there goes Sergio Perez. Just the second time this race, a Force India has just shot past me into turn 1. But like I said, just keeping fuel under control, keeping battery under control. We're coming in at the end of this lap, or the next one. I'm not entirely sure which lap it was. The tyres are definitely dying off here as we now see Valtteri Bottas. So we're going to come down from 1st, and this is down to 7th within a few laps. But obviously the Williams, still, obviously, well, not technically, according to the game, it is the worst car on the grid, so that's absolutely fine. By the end of the lap, we've got Daniel Ricciardo lunging one down our inside, so down to 8th place, and that is it, us coming in, as well as Sergio Perez there. So Perez might also be trying the same strategy to ourselves, get everything slowed down, a little conservative on the pit entry, but we'd rather be conservative than get a penalty. Van Dorn also in as well, so I get the feeling all 3 of us are on the one stopper. Come on, Williams, give me a good stop. Let's not be held up in any way. 2.3 had to be held slightly because of the Force India coming past, but certainly not the end of the world, and we can bump it up to rich and high coming out the pits. Where are we going to feed out in the traffic, if any? 14th place as it stands at the moment. We've then got Leclerc battling Hulkenberg or Sainz, one of the Renaults, into turn 1. We're just about going to stay ahead of him, and that's actually pretty crucial because Leclerc's on soft tyres there, so he's got to make another pit stop. So if he had got past us, he would have fallen behind us again, but you saw that we struggled to get the car into turn 1, and we're going to struggle again here into turn 4. It just goes to show, obviously, A, the mediums have no grip, but B, the actual carcass temperature of the tyre is important in this year's game. When you come out the pitch, you're not going to have instant grip. But anyway, we set a personal best at the end of lap 15, a 34.1. Hulkenberg is now the car behind us, and Alonso has just come out after his final pit stop, so that's our reference point. Alonso was there right at the start of the race. 16 laps later, he is also just there, but that was his final stop, and obviously we would need to try and catch him on merit, which I don't think we're going to be doing, but Hulkenberg's now harrying me here through lap 16. That Renault on the soft tyre there is a hell of a lot faster than us at this point of the Grand Prix. I'm just saving again, just still saving a bit of battery. Hulkenberg down the inside of the long left-hander. He barges me out, actually, pushes me over the curb. But bit aggressive from Nico, and then we're just losing control in the dirty air of the Renault just there. But that's Hulkenberg past us for 14th place, but Hulkenberg, because he's on the soft tyre as it stands at the moment, has to pit again. Speaking of cars pitting again, loads of cars in the pits just now. Sainz coming out on mediums there, so he's made his final pit stop of the race. Now Van Dorn, who we know has made his final pit stop as well, is behind us in 13th, and Hulkenberg pits at the end of lap 17. So that puts us up into 11th place on lap 18. We set another personal best of 33.7 there. And Magnussen is out in P10 again after his final stop of the race. So, unfortunately, I do think we're looking at our finishing position here, because Magnussen was the last of the guys up in the top 10 there. And that Haas is going to be a lot better around here than this Williams. But, you know, like I mentioned earlier in the Grand Prix, 11th place is still pretty important. But we've now got Sainz attacking us into the final corner, and as you just saw Jeff say there, we've got an issue with the DRS. Our DRS is actually offline, so that does mean here that even if we want DRS, even if we're in the zone for DRS, we're not going to get it. But what we are doing is running rich and overtake into turn 1 versus the Renault of Carlos Sainz. Go very deep into the corner's apex there. He tries to out-traction us, but we just park it on the apex of the next corner. And let's see now if Sainz is going to try and have a go at us into the next corner of turn 4. We are running low on the ERS, not getting full deployment, but Sainz doesn't have a go. He has got the Renault engine, so he's not going to be as quick in a straight line, but he was very good out of sector 2 and attacking me into the final corner, but he did bump himself across the curb a little bit there. That's going to have cost him just a little bit of time. As now Sainz, now we've got Rich and overtake, and Sainz just bullets past us there. He's got DRS, of course. We duck into the slipstream. Sainz going to go across the left. He does ever so slightly. We lunge it deep and tight on the inside there. And then Sainz as well has to think about Van Dorn, who's now up behind him there. And we've got a Haas as well, by the look of the coloured dot on the circuit there, up behind as well. So this is the fight to the end of the Grand Prix. 4 of us fighting over 11th place. If any retirements come ahead of us, this will be the fight for 10th place and another championship point potentially. By the end of lap 22, we are in a Haas sandwich. Magnussen in P10. Grosjean cruising up behind us in P12. We go to Rich again and high. That Ferrari power unit is not as strong as ours, but if he's got DRS and slipstream, he's going to be a challenge up into turn 1. Grosjean bullets past us. He forces himself to the inside line. We're going to try and sweep round the outside, pinch him if we can. We've successfully pulled that move off. Lovely stuff. And we're just going to keep defending, which unfortunately is all we can really do once we're in this sort of position. You saw it in the dying embers of the Australian Grand Prix. And you're seeing it here again. Grosjean very attacking though into turn 4. He actually was able to almost get a move stick there through 5 and 6. We go side by side. We've gone off the track a little bit. Grosjean though not able to make an inside move here down into this hairpin. But yeah, Grosjean was harrying me. He was very quick at this stage of the Grand Prix, I would say. His mediums there. He must be on a 2-stopper because his car is much faster than mine as he again goes up our inside. He must be on that 2-stop, so his mediums are a lot fresher than mine. And we're actually sort of just banging wheels, banging side pods as we go through this sector. We've actually got ourselves caught on the curb a little bit there, and that's not going to help my rear tyres because, again, the game thinks I'm not going to make it to the end of the Grand Prix. As you can see there with Jeff telling me to box this lap. So, unfortunately so, Grosjean's going to go again, once again, down our inside, and then runs very slowly through the corner. He parks it on the apex. I've made contact with the rear of his Haas. Thankfully, I've got no idea how we didn't get any kind of front wing damage, but we've got Rich in overtake mode. DRS open again, and Grosjean looks like to be saving a bit of battery now. So we're going to sweep down the inside, and then, a little bit of contact through. I think Carlos Sainz was on our inside there, or Stoffel Van Dorn. I'm not entirely sure who it was. All I know is the car reacted as I came across to pass Van Dorn. So anyway, Raikkonen still setting the pace on lap 26 with a 31 flat. They're so close to the 30s. Alonso down to P10 here, but no one's retiring as of yet. But Grosjean is coming at us once again, using whatever's left of his battery there down the inside, and once again just slow on apex and just parks it. So we're going to have to now charge up the hill on his outside now through the long right-hander. Grosjean can't keep it flat. We do, though. We get a warning from the stewards for that collision. I'm sorry, but I don't feel that to be my fault. Grosjean was just slow on the apex and brake-checked me. But we're once again defending from him as we go down, nearly pushing him off circuit as we go down towards the final corner, breaking up the 100-metre board. Grosjean goes deep, and now nice little textbook switchback move. Grosjean left enough room for a Formula 1 car and a cigarette paper, and we are going to take that move down the inside as we move on with 3 laps remaining. Even though 11th place isn't points, it is well above the team's expected finish for ourselves here. Realistically, the team just wanted to finish 19th, so we could finish last and be hitting our targets, but we don't want to do that. We want to be exceeding them. But by lap 28, Hulkenberg on the soft tyre, fresher tyres, better tyres coming at us there. Into turn 1, Hulkenberg turns in, I'm still there, we barge past him once again, and then Hulkenberg, I've been battling Grosjean for so long, sends it back down our inside, and once again the car's just clanging together. I will say, first real time I've had like major contact with someone there. The sounds very much improved for the cars hitting each other. But anyway, we're going to move on to the final lap of the Grand Prix. We're running rich, we're running high, we're going to burn everything that we've got. Hulkenberg gets past us on the pit straight. We duck into his slipstream, and are we going to make a big lunge? Of course we are. Biggest lunge yet into turn 1. Got to use the curbs on acceleration. That puts us all out of sorts. Hulkenberg gets through on the final lap of the Grand Prix. I'm not going to take it lying down, though, so let's try and see what we can do. Can we do anything into turn 4? I've braked far too late. I've got to take avoiding action to the inside, and I will hold my hands up. That was dirty. That was not what I intended to do. It was purely avoiding action to the inside. That's where the gap was, and then the gap closed as Hulkenberg came across. Anyway, Hamilton wins the Grand Prix. We come across the line for P11.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
So as I say that, we can see the drivers coming out now to collect their trophies. It's yet more silverware to take back to their base in Brackley after another excellent Grand Prix.
So Hamilton wins the Bahrain Grand Prix ahead of Kimi Raikkonen in second place and Sebastian Vettel in third. The top 3 covered by a second. Bottas brought it home in fourth, Ricciardo fifth, Verstappen sixth. Ocon and Perez pulled off the one stop quite successfully there in 7th and 8th, coming from 12th and 15th there. But of course their car was faster than ours. And we had Magnussen and Alonso filling out the top 10. We came home there in 11th place. So with our 1 point, that leaves us 11th in the championship. Raikkonen there first with 43 points, 10 points ahead of Vettel and 12 points ahead of Hamilton. Bottas down in 6th. He's having a horrendous start to the season there. Magnussen best of the rest there in 7th for the Haas team. So it's looking pretty good for them so far. We're, of course, duking it out with multiple other teams. Still 7th in the Drivers' Championship. I get the feeling we're going to be aiming for sort of like the McLarens and the Toro Rossos. Renault have had a shocking start to the season, but I think they're going to come back into it as the season goes on because their car is like 4th fastest.
Good day today. Tell us about it from your perspective. You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled.
And this one I felt a little bit more cocky with saying this one here. Just saying this was for the fans. I always put on a good show.
You were cutting your way through the field during the race.
Another opportunity to praise our power unit because, like I say, we've got to play to the strengths. And the more we talk up our power unit, the more the department will notice that.
Do you have any comments about the collisions?
Yeah, some of them weren't great. That last one certainly wasn't deliberate. The one with Hulkenberg on the final lap, I'll just say the car wasn't nimble enough.
Appreciate your time.
So as we can see, we are leading our rivalry versus Lance Stroll. And it says on the right-hand side, no rivalry assigned in workstation. So I hadn't actually realised I could do that. I thought the game did it for me. But no, I can do that. I think I don't do it this part. I do it either in the next or the part after that. I can't recall. But our reputation has shot up with Williams. And we've impressed pretty much every team. And obviously with our answer there on what we had mentioned there, it's going to bring our alignment back to more sort of neutral. So this is the R&D we've got in progress. We've got a power, an aero, and a chassis upgrade coming for the Chinese Grand Prix. That'll bump us ahead of Toro Rosso, so we won't be the worst car on the track anymore. And then we've got 1,500 resource points. Add what we get in China, that's going to be about another 2,000 to develop the car further. But obviously we haven't got simultaneous development per department as of yet. So we'll need to wait to be able to get that in our contract negotiation period. And then obviously we can go from there. But we're just building those points. So we'll see how those go next time out in the Chinese Grand Prix. I hope you have enjoyed. Leave a like if you did and comment any feedback down below. If you want to keep up to date with all the updates coming to the channel, I did say this in the first part. But if you want to be notified about all the content coming to the channel, please subscribe. I'm going to be trying to do Season 1 daily. I can't promise it. That's why I'm saying I'm trying to do it. I'm on course to do pretty well so far, but we'll see how it goes there. But next time out is the Chinese Grand Prix. 3 upgrades coming. Let's hope they all get added to the car, and let's try and get another strong result. I will see you all next time.